Does anyone even remember the second SpongeBob movie? The first SpongeBob movie is not only an amazing film loved by millions, but it's also just like the funniest thing ever. Between all its memorable music, the iconic memes, and the actual love and care put into its characters for the viewers, most people agree that the original SpongeBob movie is an S-tier banger. And that's why it's an absolute shame that most people just don't really care about the second SpongeBob movie. You see, considering this movie came out over 10 years ago already, it's kind of crazy that I haven't heard a single person talk about this thing since like 2018. This movie is called Sponge Out of Water, and according to most people, it's just kind of forgettable. There's not really any iconic songs, the memes are arguably less clever, and most people describe its story as just okay. But thankfully, we here on the channel are not most people, so I'm happy to report that this movie is not only pretty good, actually, but it's also way more interesting than people give it credit for, since it's absolutely insane like 80% of the time. That's right, I actually like this movie, and I think a lot of people would too, if they just simply remembered how wild it can actually be at times. So today, I'll be watching and carefully explaining the entire movie, the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water, in full, to really see if it's good or bad, and to find out just how insane this thing actually is. The first movie has its fair share of psychotic moments. I made a whole video on it and still haven't mentally recovered, so let's see what the deal is with this absolutely cursed movie. So grab your copy of Pokemon Platinum for the Nintendo DS, and let's watch Nickelodeon's very own, the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. Our story begins not in the middle of the ocean, but actually above land in the middle of the jungle. What is this, Plants vs. Zombies? There's so many leaves everywhere, what's going on? We quickly follow this random pirate who happens to find and steal this special looking book. He then 1v1s an actual skeleton and gets fatality'd in the process. Now, you're probably already asking yourself what the point of any of this is. Where's Bikini Bottom? Darzii? Where's the talking sponge? Darzii? Where are all my saturated colors? Darzii? Well, you're in luck because the pirate actually didn't die, so he's able to read the book, which is actually about SpongeBob and his friends in Bikini Bottom. The pirate opens the book and it's the story of the movie. Just keep that in mind, it's kind of important for later. So SpongeBob works at the Krusty Krab. Everyone already knows this, but his job is to actually make all the Krabby Patties. Turns out everyone in Bikini Bottom doesn't just love eating Krabby Patties, but they're like super addicted to it. As we'll come to find out, these aren't just regular burgers. People like these things a lot, and if they don't have any for a while, they go batshit insane.
She'll be gone in a week.
That's actually crazy. Bro whipped out the hospital bed and monitor in the restaurant. This movie's gonna be wild. So the big question for this movie is, what exactly is the secret ingredient to the Krabby Patties? That's the big mystery this time around. No one in the world knows. This is when we're introduced to Plankton, the owner of a rival restaurant who has maybe the worst burgers I think I've ever seen. This guy really wants to steal the Krabby Patty formula, so he purchases a German Heinkel HE-277 bomber airplane, I'm not kidding, and drops a giant jar of tartar sauce on the Krusty Krab to kill everyone, I guess.
I thought we got our tartar sauce delivery on Thursday.
Tartar! So what happens next is just straight up an actual war. What's that meme? Making the most disturbing film. The director used real bullets. Whatever it was, I don't know. SpongeBob and Patrick fight back with mustard, ketchup, and mayo, but Plankton's plane turns into a mech from Neon Genesis Evangelion. I'm really showing my age here. Plankton bursts through the building and is about to reach for the safe where the formula is kept, but as soon as he's about to command grab Mr. Krabs, he runs out of gas. You can't even make this up. Like, how is one person this unlucky? It doesn't even make sense. We also find out that Plankton has no money left after buying that plane and the giant mech, so Mr. Krabs calls him a brokey and then cranks some 90s and hits this sick clip. In all seriousness though, Plankton has failed yet again at stealing the secret formula. I actually feel kind of bad for him here. Maybe it's easier to just focus on making edible burgers yourself instead of stealing someone else's secret formula, but maybe not. I don't know. I'm not a chef. Anyway, Plankton does have 1 penny left, so he just gives it to Mr. Krabs as a sign of defeat. But then, as a couple minutes pass and Plankton seems to be crying outside like a little whittle thumb-sucking baby, turns out the real Plankton was hiding in that penny which Mr. Krabs put inside of his safe. So now the real Plankton is inside of this thing with the secret formula. The Plankton outside is just a robot. He's not real. He's just crappy AI. So now Plankton tries to steal the formula, but it's on a pressure plate. So he has to do that Indiana Jones thing and swap it out for another object. He finds another identical glass bottle with paper in it, and he does the old switcheroo thing, which is when SpongeBob walks in and catches catches him in the act. This is getting a little naughty. What on earth is Plankton doing? And what happens next is probably the most important part of the movie. Pay attention, class, because you will be quizzed on this. SpongeBob and Plankton are each pulling on one end of the bottle, which is when, for no reason at all, the bottle just disappears. It simply ceases to exist. It unalives itself. Bro left the lobby.
It just vanished.
It's true!
Krabs comes in and demands Plankton returns the formula, but he literally can't because it actually vanished for no reason. Mr. Krabs doesn't believe him though, so he tapes Plankton to the table and hits him with the cartoon classic. Everyone knows it, everyone loves it. The good old Japanese ear bleed torture. Hey, you know what? Plankton's not wrong, because that laugh is super annoying if it ever goes on longer than 5 seconds. So after Plankton legitimately contemplates playing buckshot roulette IRL, SpongeBob is sent to go make more Krabby Patties for the hungry customers, but turns out there aren't any Krabby Patties left. And since the formula is gone, SpongeBob has no idea how to make them. This part kind of makes me mad because, like, what do you mean you don't know how to make them? You're telling me SpongeBob looks at the formula every single time he makes more Krabby Patties? SpongeBob explains that he chooses never to remember the formula offhand because it's meant to be a secret, which, like, okay, sure, but wouldn't Mr. Krabs at least know it through memory? You're telling me literally no one knows by heart the secret formula to the most successful burger ever? What are we doing here, man? Check your notes app or something. Surely it's on there. So far, this movie is kind of crazy. We've already had a war scene, a torture scene, and confirmation that no one in Bikini Bottom backs up their files digitally. But trust me, this is only the tip of the iceberg. Things are about to get way more insane from this point on. So now there's a Krabby Patty addicted mob that wants to kill Plankton because they think he stole the formula. No one here seemed to have cared when he stole it in the first movie and then sold them, but whatever, I guess no one cares. SpongeBob, though, is an outlier since he was there when the bottle disappeared and knows that Plankton is actually innocent. So when Mr. Krabs is about to commit a public execution, this is crazy, there are kids right there, by the way, SpongeBob shows up and actually saves Plankton by blowing a big bubble to fly away with.
Sorry, Mr. Krabs.
You've been working for Plankton!
So now, to set the scene a little bit, we're entering what I like to call Act 2, Coral Road. SpongeBob and Plankton are now basically wanted criminals. Despite being completely different, they have to team up to clear their names. And also, all of Bikini Bottom is burning to the ground because no one can function properly without their addictive burgers.
Aren't you overreacting a bit?
So now the entire ocean has gone completely mad. But then this is when we zoom out and are reminded that this is simply a story being read by a pirate. I guess he's reading this story to a bunch of seagulls or something. Sure, why not? The pirate says that's the end of the book and the credits start rolling, but the birds aren't happy with that, so they trap him and force him to keep reading, or else. In this process, a page from the book falls into the water. Littering is bad. Don't do this. And although none of this seems that important, I promise you, it is. Also important to mention that this is a story from a book that the pirate is reading. This is an actual printed book, so these events already happened in the past, if at all, or at least that's what they want you to think. Back to Bikini Bottom, and things are still insane. Society itself has basically collapsed, and everyone is dressed in a way that can only be described as a mix between emo and kinky. It is what it is. SpongeBob and Plankton have to work together, and there's this funny bit where Plankton can't pronounce the word teamwork because he's never heard of that word before.
Teamwork.
What's a TM word?
Nice, dude. Very epic. I don't actually hate these two working together. I think Plankton became more misunderstood and less evil as the series went on.
Time bomb.
The two decide that to find out what actually happened, they probably need to assemble a team. So they go see Patrick, but he immediately rats them out and warns the others. They go see Sandy, but she's gone completely insane since she hasn't had a Krabby Patty in, like, I'm not kidding, maybe 20 minutes. This cannot be healthy, dude. Also, this is when we get into confusing narrative territory because Sandy reveals that she has the page from the book that was ripped off above water from, like, the pirate or whatever, which confirms that this isn't a story that already happened because these two moments are happening simultaneously. So I'm pretty sure this makes like zero sense because how on earth are you reading a story that's happening right now? But don't worry, I'll explain that later. SpongeBob and Plankton go see Gary next. Surely the innocent pet snail won't turn on SpongeBob. I mean, he's never done anything wrong before, right? Yeah, except now he's the king of the snails, apparently, and he orders for SpongeBob's arrest due to his crimes against humanity. How unfortunate. So with no other allies and the town still in chaos, SpongeBob and Plankton are forced to camp outside the city. There's this weird scene where Plankton literally enters SpongeBob's brain because he thinks SpongeBob might be lying about the formula. It turns out that his brain is actually a terrifying place full of happy food and talking rainbows. So Plankton crashes out and leaves immediately.
Were you in my brain?
What? No!
This is when SpongeBob sings for a minute, and this is the movie's first real song. And although I think it's cute and well thought out, it's not really catchy at all, in my opinion. That's where this movie pales in comparison to the first one. The music is just not on the same level at all. Anyway, this is when Plankton thinks about building a time machine. That way these two can go back in time and grab the formula before it disappears. As we all know, time travel can cause all sorts of unexpected issues, changing the past, changing the present, using it in a video game called BioShock Infinite, and now my little brain doesn't understand what the hell is going on. But these two don't really care about any of that, so they sneak into the chum bucket to save Karen. Please refer to video 1 to learn more about this character if you care. She's basically a NASA supercomputer. But a bit later, and the two are building the time machine together, and without Plankton realizing, they're both utilizing teamwork. Plankton's actually grown more accustomed to SpongeBob being around, which is kind of surprising considering we're still a bit early in the movie, although Plankton still struggles to pronounce teamwork properly.
When we're at TM.
TM, nice. He still can't say it right. Maybe he has a speech problem or something and he actually can't say the word. I can't pronounce Worcestershire. Worcestershire? Worcestershire? I give up, dude. Anyway, so these two have their time machine now and turn it on thanks to Karen. And while they travel back in time, we get some of the trippiest visuals in the whole movie. Seriously, some of this stuff is actually crazy. I know Steven Hillenburg was in the back getting wild making this one. R.I.P. the GOAT, by the way. Their first stop, and SpongeBob and Plankton accidentally went into the future, and turns out Bikini Bottom is unrecognizable. The entire place is a wasteland. They must have leaped ahead a very, very long time.
We've only gone 4 days into the future. It's Thursday.
So the two jump back into the time machine. We get more trippy visuals. What's going on? The two somehow end up in space this time and find a talking dolphin named Bubbles. I'm not kidding. This guy is all-knowing and is watching over the universe or something. This is somehow the least and most SpongeBob thing ever, to be honest. I have no clue how this idea in this movie came to be. It's just super random. I guess you could say it has no purpose. During this scene, SpongeBob loses his mind, two planets crash into each other, and Bubbles gets really, really mad. What a normal day in Bikini Bottom. The two re-enter the time machine again. There's another trippy scene again, but now they do end up at the right time. So SpongeBob puts his hand in the safe and grabs the formula quickly. The two travel back to their own timeline right away before anything blows up or something. I don't know. Time travel is scary. That could probably happen. Once they return, everyone is still dressed like CJ from that one mission in San Andreas. If you know, you know. All this because their favorite burger was taken off the menu, by the way. Anyway, when Mr. Krabs checks the formula out, he ends up reading a note written by Plankton, insulting him and calling him stupid, which means when they went back in time, SpongeBob actually didn't grab the secret formula, but actually he grabbed the second glass bottle that Plankton put in there originally to trick the pressure plate. Normally, I'd say SpongeBob screwed up here, but there was actually no way of him to know that it was the wrong bottle. So honestly, I don't know. It's kind of Plankton's fault. Not gonna lie.
Prepare them for the sacrifice!
Damn, a whole community is really about to kill off two of their very own because they want their high sodium burgers. This is what fast food does to people. Also, before you ask, a Squidosaurus Rex spawns in the time machine and breaks it, so now SpongeBob and Plankton can never use it again. GG, well played. SpongeBob then gives an emotional speech that mirrors the one he did at the end of the first movie. It's emotionally driven and it's actually super epic. I have chills. I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty good one. But none of that matters because in the end, he still gets tied up to become a sacrifice. So SpongeBob's all tied up. They drop a giant rock and he's literally about to get smushed alive. But then SpongeBob mentions that he can smell some Krabby Patties, so Mr. Krabs jumps in and saves him from death. Mr. Krabs sets him free and asks him to lead the way to the smell. Also, he takes off his outfit and Squidward can't believe that you can just like do that. It's actually a pretty funny joke.
Go get it! Wait, you mean we can just take this stuff off?
So SpongeBob now leads the way with everyone else following behind. They travel far and wide. Some of these areas actually make no sense at all. And what I should probably mention real quick is you probably noticed this movie is called Sponge Out of Water. But except for that weird space dolphin scene that we saw earlier, our sponge has not gotten out of the water yet. I'm not sure if that's a real criticism people have towards this movie, because personally, I don't really care, but it is kind of crazy that the thing in the title just hasn't happened yet. Imagine if the first movie was called the SpongeBob movie, Sponge on Dude. It wouldn't make much sense because he's on a dude for like the last 10 minutes and that's it. The reason I bring this up is because the smell of the Krabby Patties is actually coming from above land, so now all the side characters leave and we're left with only the important people. They think about it for a bit, but it doesn't really matter because it's not like they can just walk out of the water. Realistically, they're just kind of stuck here. But then This is when Bubbles, the talking dolphin, shows up and thanks SpongeBob for apparently getting him fired from his universe observing job. I guess that was like a normal 9 to 5 for him. Turns out Bubbles hated that job and is actually glad things went wrong with those planets a while back. So he brings SpongeBob and his friends to the surface as a way to say thank you. When he does this, the animation style changes as all the characters are now chilling on the beach. Obligatory mention that Squidward, Patrick, and Krabs all need water to survive, so I don't know how they're here right now. It doesn't really make sense, whatever. And what happens next, honestly, is just Nickelodeon flexing their animation skills. They show off with what I think is actually impressive animation, at least at the time. Like at one point, our characters roll a guy over and it actually looks really good. I was kind of expecting this to look like one of those fan animations, but I'm impressed with the contact between the characters. Like, I don't know, it looks like they're actually lifting him up. It's kind of crazy. So now on the beach, there's a bunch of funny bits here. Patrick gets ice cream time. Squidward gets sexy lotion time. It's all hilarious. Just trust me. Eventually, SpongeBob and Patrick go through psychosis for a couple seconds. Dude, this movie has been insane so far. I feel like my brain is never stopping, but I also kind of enjoy it. Oh God, is this what it's like to watch brain rot at 12 years old? And this is when our heroes see it. They see a food truck selling Krabby Patties. What? This is so crazy. Let's keep watching. They enter the kitchen of this food truck and see the pirate from the beginning of the movie who's been reading the story, making some burgers and also making a whole lot of money. That's right. It was the pirate the whole time, I guess. Yep, that's what it is. To give some actual context to this reveal, since it kind of comes out of nowhere otherwise, we do find out that earlier in the story, this pirate parked his ship on land and opened up his own burger place. It didn't really do well though, so he used the book he has to steal the secret formula and sell Krabby Patties. Oh, the book? Yeah, that thing is like super magical, by the way. Turns out whatever is written in this book will happen, so the pirate wrote that he had the secret formula. This is why it randomly disappeared all that time ago, and why there was no logical explanation for that happening up until now. Why the pirate doesn't just write that he's like a billionaire or something is beyond me, but whatever, it's his choice. He has the book. So since the pirate has been caught, he now writes that our heroes get stuck on some random rock in the middle of the ocean to just like get rid of them or something. So now they're all stuck here and I guess it's the end. But then Sandy reveals that she still has that page that fell onto her house way back when. So thanks to that and Squidward deadass inking himself,
It happens when I'm nervous.
SpongeBob writes his own words on the page, allowing them to reappear at the food truck, and this time as ultra omega powerful superheroes. They all have superpowers now because SpongeBob just like wrote it on the page. Squidward plays his clarinet really loud, which is his power, I guess. Patrick controls ice cream, so they move around. What? Mr. Krabs doesn't have any superpowers, but is a robot now, I guess, so he can shoot his claws. And Sandy is just a regular looking squirrel, and yeah, doesn't have any superpowers. I don't know, she's just a squirrel. I don't know. I actually have no idea what's going on. The pirate runs off with the formula, so the gang chases after him to get it back. SpongeBob can shoot a bunch of bubbles as his power, so he captures the book and counterattacks all of the cannonballs the pirate shoots his way. This eventually leads the magical book into getting burnt to a crisp on the grill, never to be used again. But even still, somehow the pirate outsmarts our sea critters and is actually about to leave with the formula. There's this really sad scene where SpongeBob is very apologetic. I'm not crying, you're crying.
We blew it as a team.
Nope, this one's on you.
But then this is when Plankton shows up and the pirate laughs in his face since he's so small. But actually, Plankton was with them on the island and wrote himself to have superpowers as well. So now he's a gigantic muscular freak and goes by the name Plankton. Get it? Because a ton is like 1,000 pounds. He's very strong. It's very clever. Plankton offers to help as he lends a hand to SpongeBob. These two use teamwork to catch the pirate, and Plankton even says the word correctly for once, even though he still uses it in a wrong way.
No thanks. I'm already part of a teamwork.
He kicks the pirate to a faraway island where he's probably just gonna die there. There's like nothing on this thing. He's probably dead, let's be honest. Plankton low-key joins the team, putting aside his evil tendencies and doing what's right. And now, using the ripped page from the book, SpongeBob writes everyone back home and back to normal. He even lets Squidward keep his rock-hard abs because why not? He deserves it. With the formula back, the customers are lining up to get their burgers once again, and Plankton immediately goes back to scheming and stealing the formula. It was nice while it lasted, I guess. SpongeBob gives us a wave, and that's just kind of the end. Do we ever find out what makes the Krabby Patties so addictive? No. But do we ever find out the origins of the magical book? Well, also no. But do they expand on SpongeBob and Plankton's friendship later in the series? Well, also no. So this movie has problems. It's arguably not as funny or emotional as the first one, and overall it feels less impactful or memorable. So then why did I enjoy it so much. Maybe I found it oddly charming at times, or maybe it just caught me on a good day. I don't know. But now that I've explained the whole movie in full, let's finally answer the question. Was Sponge Out of Water actually a good movie? Well, like I said, it's obviously not as strong as the first installment. I don't want to say almost everything about it is worse, because this movie still does a really good job, in my opinion. But overall, this movie kind of felt like an hour-and-a-half acid trip from start to finish. Between the torture scenes, the death scenes, the LSD scenes, and all the butts everywhere, there was a lot of butts in this, I didn't really talk about it, but there's a bunch. This movie is just kind of insane. And it's probably a lot more insane than you remember it being, to be honest. I don't think that makes it bad or anything. I just think it makes it less impactful, which gives people another reason to hate on it even more. I personally thought this movie was a fun time, which makes me really dread the third movie because apparently that one is actually really bad. I don't want to watch it. Please don't make me watch it. But that's the end of the video. If you can, please leave a like and comment. It helps the channel out a bunch. If you're on mobile, you can hype the video, which boosts it or something, I think. If you like my content and want to support me directly, you can become a channel member for only a single $1. It gets your username on screen here for all my future videos and will get you access to the community Discord when that opens up very, very soon. It's looking like it'll open up around Christmas or something. I work very, very hard on releasing weekly videos for you guys. I do all the writing, all the recording, all the editing myself, so I'm literally awake all the time. So thank you for all the support, and thank you to everyone who watches these silly videos from time to time. I appreciate you all so, so much. Paula Abdul scores this one a solid trippy SpongeBob out of 5. And yeah, thanks for watching.
Aren't you overreacting a bit?
It's Thursday.